Today, we are talking about sales. This is something that so many PTs, so many of us get really, really nervous about. And I am here to tell you that even though sales can be a little bit intimidating at first, I bet you have more experience than you think. And we'll get into that. And the other thing that I want to talk about with this is that sales is a learned skill. So, the same way that you learned how to be a physical therapist or a healthcare professional, you can learn how to be a good salesperson too. Stick around for this video as we are going to get into how to sell physical therapy for cash. So, where I am recording this video, I am currently a physical therapist in Nevada in the US. And in the US in general, over time, physical therapy is often associated with being an insurance reimbursed service. A lot of the times people used to, not so much anymore since I started my practice. A very common question that you might get as a practice owner is, do you take insurance, or what insurances do you take? And it's automatically thought of as a service that is going to be in network with people's health insurance. And it's not like a pay out of pocket service like going to get a massage might be, like going to the chiropractor might be, going to an acupuncturist or other kind of like health services. More recently, and probably since I started my practice in 2019, I very rarely get asked if I take insurances. It's maybe like a couple times a year, if that. And part of the reason for that, I think, is because I work with very specific group of people, and it's very like direct care. There's like very specific things that I will do with people that I work with, and so the insurance part of it doesn't really come up all that often, and we can get into that a little bit more. But that's sometimes a little bit of a hurdle that people will have at the beginning, and there are a bunch of different ways to handle that question. So it's just something to think about a little bit and see how you plan on answering the question. And maybe we'll get back into that a little bit further on in the video. But first, to start off with, the thing that I think is always really good to have, because this is going to help you have confidence when it comes to selling things, is to understand the logistics in your business as far as what it is that you're selling, how much you charge, and you need to be able to explain the process of what it's like working with you. So as far as what you're selling, are you selling sessions? Are you selling packages? Are you selling memberships? Like, what does that look like? Figuring out what it is that you charge. And I have a whole video and a whole blog post actually on this. If you are trying to figure out what to charge if you're first starting, or if what you're charging is going to help your business succeed, you can visit my website and I'll put the link below. But the blog post is what should I charge, or what do I charge for cash-based physical therapy? And in that blog post, you'll find kind of like my whole recommendations for everything, but most importantly, the spreadsheet calculator that I have available for free in that blog post will walk you through how much you should be charging depending on your business's goals and the time that you have available. So definitely check that out if you have questions about how much to be charging. And then the third thing logistically is being able to explain the process of what it looks like to work with you. So somebody might come up to you and say like, hey, Morgan, I know that you're offering physical therapy here at the gym. How does that work? And so what I need to be able to communicate, which I always have to practice, is saying like, yeah, totally. Like, I work with athletes here all the time, and we work on a variety of different things. So the first thing that I usually like to ask people about is what is it they have going on? And I might dive into it with that person that I'm talking to. But I like to ask people what it is that they have going on to see if I'm even the right fit to help, because there are different folks and different problems they might have where I might not be the best therapist to help them, but I can always help you find somebody. So that's the first thing, is we usually just have a little bit of a conversation to figure out, if I'm the best fit. And if so, we'll schedule a first initial evaluation appointment and go over all the things and do different tests and figure out what it is that's going on and figure out how we are going to address the root cause of the problem and then we'll create a plan just for you on how to fix it and make it better. So that's pretty much it. And then from there, if they want more information, something else that I will try to tell people too, especially if I'm getting the sense that they're worried about cost, is I always make it a point to say, like, it's X dollars for our first visit. And then from there, we'll come up with our plan. But depending on your schedule and your budget, we'll figure out how to make the plan work for all of that, where it does fit into your schedule, it does fit into your budget, and it still helps us get the results that we're looking for. So totally open to talking about it and figuring out what's going to be best for you. And usually when I put that information on the table, I feel like it takes a lot of pressure out of the conversation because it is like a little bit of unknown territory. Like I was saying at the beginning, to work with a physical therapist, like independently or privately, the clearer and more confident that you're able to be in communicating what the process looks like, that's going to make people feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more likely to work with you and spend their money with you. So the logistics of all of it, you have to have that clear and good to go in order to feel like you're able to sell physical therapy services for cash. Next thing is understand that it is not about trying to convince anybody to work with you or convince people not to use their insurance. There should be no feelings of like, I need to convince them to work with me. If you're getting into that feeling, it's starting to get into like a little bit more of like a sour, like slimy sales experience. And that's really not what we're here to do. We're not trying to make anybody work with us. It's all about getting to know the prospect or the potential client in front of you, what they're looking for, what they need help with, and why it's important to them to do something about the problem that they have, as well as how soon do they want a solution and are they actually ready to take action. Some people that you talk to are not going to be ready to move forward right now. And that's why follow-up is super important, which definitely could be another video. I would say most of the time, like most of the people that you talk with, they're not going to be ready right now, but they could be in the future. So it's up to you to kind of figure out all of that other information that I mentioned so you can see if you are going to be the right fit to work with them and if they are going to be the right fit to be a good client for you, because both sides of that equation are very important in order to get the best results. On paper, a client could look like the best fit for you, but then when it comes to actually interacting with them in person and maybe like what their goals are and what their values are, you guys just might not mesh. So then it's up to you to help them pick somebody else or find another therapist who might be a better fit so that everybody has a good experience and, we're not taking on clients that are not going to be a good experience. You're not trying to convince anybody. It's up to you to kind of interview the person in front of you and figure out if it's going to be a good fit to move forward. So after asking all of those questions, it's then a good idea, once you have all of the information, to ask for permission to speak with them about the way that you work with people. So that's one of my favorite quote unquote strategies when it comes to having sales conversations is once you gather all the information that you need to make a decision as to whether the person in front of you is going to be a good fit for an evaluation. So we're not trying to like figure out the entire thing right now. You're just trying to figure out if they would be a good fit for an evaluation. And after the evaluation, you can figure out if they're going to be a good fit for a plan of care. But once you gather all the information to figure out if they are a good fit to schedule that initial appointment with you, you can ask for permission to share with them a little bit more about the way that you work with people and kind of give them a heads up on what it will look like. And also share like any recent client stories of people that you've worked with. So, and like I know for me, more recently, I've had a lot of the athletes come up to me at the gym and say like, oh, like I heard you do, physical therapy here. I think I might have a thing that maybe you could help me with. Should I schedule an appointment with you? I get that question a lot. Like, should I schedule an appointment with you? And so like, that's a perfect opening to start asking questions and figure out if they're going to be a good fit because that's what they're asking for. they'll say, should I schedule an appointment? And I think like the last time I had this conversation, I said, like, yeah, like I work with a lot of athletes here at the gym, and we can definitely, talk and figure out if it would be a good idea. Tell me a little bit more about what's going on, and then they have a lot of people have shoulder pain or shoulder problems. So I'll ask them to tell me more about the shoulder issues, what they've tried so far, what's worked, what hasn't, what movements are a problem, how long has it been going on, how important is it to them to get the problem fixed. And from there, like once I gather that information, then I can say, yeah, cool. Like you actually sound like a lot of the people that I've worked with recently. Like I just had another person graduate PT last month, which was great. We worked together for I think about 3 months or so and saw each other for 6 or 7 sessions maybe. They had shoulder pain just like you, and now they're doing all these things without any problem. So I could see that being potentially the journey that you and I go on together. So if you'd like, what we could do is we can schedule our first appointment together, our evaluation, and figure out from there what is going to be the best way to fix the problem. Would you be open to that? So that's another way to ask permission too. And just always step by step by step. No need to get ahead of yourself, just one step at a time. And that will just make everything a lot less stressful. So far we've talked about with sales, like I really think it is about having a really clear process. And I always picture it in my head as kind of like a flow diagram or like a decision making tree where we just figure out where the person is on that chart and say, like, okay, are they this or are they that? Like, or yes or no, and they move down the tree. Really clear process. And if you are able to like get a really good picture of the problems that somebody is going through and confirm, like clinically, like, yes, I can definitely help you with this, the sales part doesn't end up being super difficult, because through like your ability to convey what it is that you do, convey that you have worked with people who have their problem in the past and you've gotten results, the next piece is just about scheduling. And then when it comes to the money part of it, like I mentioned before, because like the way that my business model is I just sell single sessions right now. For more on that, we could do another video if you want, but I'm just selling single sessions. So I always just sell the evaluation first and say, like, okay, it'll be $150 on our evaluation, but at the end of that appointment, we'll figure out what the plan looks like and figure out, money wise, like how you feel with your budget, what our schedules look like, and we can make a decision to go from there so that it works for everybody. And that works really well. I think I tend to have a little bit like softer of a sales approach, but it has not steered me wrong so far. So that's kind of some of the stuff that we've talked about so far as far as how to sell physical therapy services for cash. It's not that complicated. For people out there who feel like they are newer to sales, something that I like to always bring up is most of us, actually I think all of us, because you'll do this in school too before you're even licensed. Things that I always ask is, number one, have you ever evaluated a patient? Yes. Have you gotten that patient to come back for follow-up visits? Yes. That's sales. The only thing that was missing was actually handling payment. If you have interviewed somebody, figured out your treatment plan and what that's going to look like, and you got them to come back, you've had a sales experience. So you actually have a ton more experience than you think you have. And the last couple of things that I just wanted to talk about as far as sales go, especially with cash-based physical therapy, is a couple of like misconceptions. The first being, and I think this is like mostly when you're really new to this, is thinking that you're selling physical therapy. And the thing is that you're not. You're not selling physical therapy. You are selling results and a transformation, because physical therapy, or whatever profession you're in, it can encompass so much. Like it's such a wide range of things that we can do. And as a solo practice owner, you can't possibly know it all and do it all. So you're not going to be selling physical therapy. It's you as a physical therapist are going to be offering a service where you help create a custom plan essentially to help solve your patient's problem. And you're going to take them from point A where they have the problem to point B of not having the problem anymore. Transformation. And in order to help convey this, you can always tell really specific stories about people that you've worked with in the past. So keep that in mind. You are not selling physical therapy, you are selling results, transformation, and offering people a solution to a problem. And that's what they're buying. And that's kind of also why the insurance piece doesn't really matter that much. Because if you are the person that can help get them the results, like the payment piece is secondary. And so, speaking of that, another misconception is that people are not going to buy your services and invest in your services because they want to use their insurance. And first and foremost, if you are trying to be a cash based practice owner and you believe this, that nobody will work with you because they will want to use their insurance, you've already sunk your ship. If you don't believe that the model is going to work, it's not going to work. So you have to do a little bit of mindset work around that if you truly want to have a cash-based practice that succeeds. Like, you have to believe that people are going to buy from you. I think a way to practice that is to invest in cash-based services yourself. As a cash-based practice owner, I'm also willing to pay cash for medical services. And I think that leads to having just a lot of integrity with the way that you're operating your business, but there might still be a fear there that you'll get that kind of, I guess, like friction around, I would love to see you, but I want to use my insurance. Or I've talked to practice owners who will say things like, who's going to pay me $200 a visit for physical therapy when they could get it for free at the clinic down the road? And here's the thing is that there's always going to be lower cost and higher cost options. And the quality of each of those options is going to vary. The convenience of those options are going to vary. So people are going to invest in the things that they value, and to give you another example of like free versus paying for something, people buy movies and books when they could get them for free at a library. So why do you do that? People buy brand new clothes from designer brands, when they could get those clothes cheaper elsewhere. People pay to have websites built when they could technically learn how to build them on their own. So people are willing to pay money for things that they see value in, or it's going to save them time or save them money in the long run. Sometimes cash-based PT services do end up being lower cost than if somebody were to go to a traditional clinic and pay their copay. And you could always look into the actual numbers on that and compare so that you have that information, and ultimately you are going to, as a cash-based practice owner, you are going to appeal to a certain part of the market who values investing in their health and fitness and lifestyle. You are not going to be able to target people who only want to use their insurance and don't want to invest in their health in the same way. And those are just two different areas of the market, and it kind of goes back to the concept of you cannot market to everybody. You're really only focusing on one aspect or one group of people, the people who want to invest in their health and fitness. And then this potential barrier of insurance or not, are they going to pay for the services or not? It's going to come up so much less frequently because people will see you as somebody who can help them with their problem, and the payment option is secondary. I know that was a lot of things to talk about as far as how to sell PT services for cash. It definitely starts with your belief that people will pay you, because people will. People have paid me since I started. I've worked with probably close to 100 patients by now, and it's all been out of pocket. I've had two or three people, I think, ask for super bills, but otherwise it's been all out of pocket. And there have been people who, I think we'll be a good fit to work together, and they tell me that it's not in their budget to pay for PT, or they do want to just use their insurance instead. And that's okay, because I still have plenty of other patients. So you have to believe that your people are out there in order to successfully sell services yourself. And from there, it's just about figuring out if they are a good fit for you, if you're a good fit for them, and then explaining to them a very simple process in order to get the results that they're looking for, and telling stories about people that you've already helped with their problem. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below and leave questions, and I'll be happy to, make more content and talk more about sales. But if you are looking for a lot more help with starting or growing your cash-based practice, looking for your first 5 or 10 clients this year, or even in the next 6 months, so that you can leave the clinic and just work for yourself full time, definitely check out our DPT to CEO program available on my website, morganmeese.com. You'll be able to find the information page with more details on what's included in the program. And we actually now have both a self-paced and a one-on-one coaching option with the curriculum. Either way, if you're interested, you can book a consultation call with me, free short 15-minute call to figure out if we would be a good fit to work together and if I'm the right person to help you get where you want to go. And if not, I'm happy to point you in the right direction. But check it out, morganmeese.com, and look for the DPT to CEO program. We are currently accepting students, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So with that, I'll plan to see you on the next one.